Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 601. Today we're going to take a look at the racing season expansion for automobiles. Now this came out, the base game came out at the tail end of 2015 into 2016. I frankly don't remember when I reviewed it. I might have not reviewed it until 2016, but this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, racing game. So if you haven't seen my review of that or heard of the game, go ahead and check it out. I'll put a link in the description of the video. Now this is going to expand all of that, and it's kind of, as by the name it says, is going to give it kind of a campaign feel. So you can play over a couple of different races. This adds a whole bunch of new kind of ability cards and things that are going to, transform your cubes into special effects. It has drivers, it has sponsors, it's got some new tracks and stuff in it. So let's jump in and take a look at all of that, and then I'll tell you what I think. Now here's everything that you're going to get in the expansion. Now the first thing to take note of here is this huge pad of paper, and there's all kinds of information on it. Now this is going to be how you keep track of a season. So you can see you can actually keep track of the different colors of cubes that were in your car at the end of the race. There's some management of those that you can do in between races, but for all effective purposes your car is going to kind of persist along the different courses in the campaign. You've also got spots here for your driver and your sponsor and so on. So they give you a big old stack for that. And then of course you have the new board and some of the new cards. Now you can also see you've got these cards here, so if you want to kind of randomize the tracks that you play, maybe over the course of the campaign even, you can shuffle these up and deal these out. Now you can see there's actually 5 now, even though we have a double-sided board to start the base game and then this game. But this actually has a couple more tracks here. Let's just flip that over real quick on the back here. So you see they have these 2 kind of smaller tracks like so. And these actually will work well for a 2-player game, let's say in this example here. So that's really nice because it's going to support 2 players a lot better. Now let's take a closer look at some of these extra cards that we get. Now the first set of cards here are going to be these driver cards, and these that players will get, you can use these in an individual game, or you could just choose the driver and then you can use it throughout the course of a league or a season during the campaign. Now each of the drivers, let's do a couple examples here, are going to happen, have effects that happen in different phases of the game. So there's good 3 examples here. So for example here, Micah Connor says before drawing, remove up to 3 wear from your player board. So that's a good way to give you an advantage in terms of getting a certain amount of wear in your car. You can kind of play around with that. And this one here, Juan Goody, and during the car phase, at the end of the car phase, move 1 space on any color. So they give you just that one little extra bump, and that's really going to inform kind of your positioning during the race, at least it can. And then finally here, just as another example, Mag Matthews, during the buy phase, draw up to 3 cubes at once. For each cube drawn, choose 1, remove it, place it in your active pile, or put it in back in your bag. So it's a good kind of way to sift through cubes, obviously, to get stuff. So these come with a whole variety of these that you can get and choose from. And again, of course, you can use those in the campaign. And these are kind of cool because it's sort of asymmetrical abilities and stuff like that. And then next here we have the sponsors. Now these are going to take place during the in-between side of the race. So let's take a look at some examples here of these. And so these will tell you kind of based on where you finish in the race, and you get kind of access to a special ability here. So this guy here says remove up to 3 cubes, and then you spend up to $8 if you get first. If you get second, remove up to 6 cubes and spend up to $5. So you don't get to remove as many cubes if you get in first, but you get a little more money to spend. And then finally at the bottom one, remove up to 12 cubes and spend up to $3. So it gives you kind of different ways to balance your car. Let's look at this one here. This is an interesting one here. So it says remove up to 3 cubes, gain up to 3 dark gray 5th gear cubes. And then they all kind of get a little bit better or worse depending on how you look at it as you go down there. Now you're always going to shuffle out and deal the number of players worth of sponsors here, and then you have a chance to choose them. You're going to do that after every single race. So let's say you got this one after your first race. After the second race in the campaign, you could choose to keep this one or take a new sponsor from those that are dealt out again after that race. So you can kind of pick and choose as you move along and switch up sponsorships, or basically switch up kind of the special ability way to tweak your car in between races. Now let's take a look at some of the new action cards. So the rulebook, I should say, does give you some sample builds of the different cards that you can use for the different types of cubes, and they have samples for just the expansion as well as mixing the expansion with the base game. So you can kind of just do quick setups that way, or you do a random one of each color. So here's the green one, Performance Overdrive. It says gain 1 wear according to your current position in the race. Move up to 3 spaces on the following color of lower. So first you move up a white, last is dark gray, and then other is a light gray. So that gives you a way to kind of catch up. And this is internal combustion. Discard 1 cube from your active pile, then place up to 3 cubes from your discard pile into your active pile. Gain 1 wear for each cube that you do that way. So it's a good way to kind of mix stuff around. You are going to gain wear when you do these. This one is draw 1 cube, remove 1 cube from your active pile or discard pile, and gain 1 wear. Burnout, select 1 gear cube in your discard pile, move up to 2 spaces of the color 1 lower than the selected gear. That's a very interesting one there. I'll just let you read that again because I don't understand what it means, but the first time we read it, we're like, huh? Okay. So gain a wear, select a gear cube in your discard pile, move up to 2 spaces of the color 1 slower than the selected gear. So pretty straightforward, but it's pretty interesting to use. Finally, Pit Mechanic, remove up to 6 wear from your discard pile. Then if you have fewer cubes in your discard pile than all other players' discard piles, remove up to 2 cubes of any color. So that's pretty cool. All right, so there's a whole bunch of these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're all just kind of do, different things in different ways and give you ways to kind of tweak your car. So, but really for me, these are nice, but the awesome part are the sponsors, and then of course the drivers, and of course the new tracks and the season or the league or the campaign in the game. Okay, so that was the racing season expansion for automobiles. What do I think of it? I think this is a must-get expansion. So if you liked automobiles at all, this is going to just improve it in so many different ways. You get 3 new boards, 3 new tracks, and it's got the special 2-player track. You've got the really intricate kind of Monte Carlo track with this, basically the entire thing is like this crazy turns, and then you've got the Talladega track on the other side, which is a cool track. It's like a little it's like a little bit improved over the oval, which is like my least favorite track. So you've got those. You've got basically the campaign thing, which is the best thing. You've got ways that you can have drivers and sponsors, all that stuff I talked about in the walkthrough. Now to me, the coolest part of it is, and like my one little sort of criticism of automobiles from the base game, and it wasn't really a criticism, it was just kind of something that just kind of bothered me, kind of like itched the back of my brain when I would play it, was kind of the thematics of the bag building mixed with, the driving. So it's cool because in one sense you're driving and you're getting these new cubes and doing these new different abilities. So it's kind of like you're adjusting your methods and your strategy as the driver, maneuvering through all that stuff. But it's kind of weird that you're buying cubes and putting those abilities in versus, actually using them. So it's like a small thematic disconnect. I think it says maybe it's the terminology of you buy it. There's like little money symbols on it. I think that's the only really weird disconnect. And I think with the expansion, with the campaign, it makes a lot more sense now, because now you've got, sort of theoretically your car's been kind of tuned from race to race, even though I think in some of these leagues you're not supposed to really tune your car that much, but you can see kind of the progression and there's the longevity and the strategy. So like the whole crew aspect of it kind of comes through in terms of the thematics of it. Because now my car is really good at burning through wear or whatever, or it's really good at fishing stuff out of the bag, or like using manipulation based on the color of the cube. So you can really kind of focus your strategy over the course of multiple races. And it's also interesting because you can kind of get in situations where like you've got your car geared up in a certain way, and then you go into like the second race, you're like, whoa, like my car's not really optimized for the beginning of a race because I don't really have enough things in there that I didn't really set my cubes up right, in between races. So you have to kind of like learn that a little bit as well. On the other hand, you can have a really fine-tuned car right out the gate and you just kind of, you just go around the track way faster than everybody else. So that's kind of a cool, like, in terms of like the strategic and the replayability side of it, is kind of just learning that stuff and just kind of reinvests itself in the design of the game, if that makes any kind of sense, where you kind of learn about, manipulating the bag and all that stuff and handling your wear over the course of a single game, but then over kind of the longevity of the whole racing season, you have to kind of relearn that a little bit. So that's really neat. I really like that. And again, the drivers and the sponsors are going to help you do that, and the drivers are going to give you, kind of individual player ability. So this is a must get. I would say if you don't even have the Automobiles base game, probably not watching this review, but if you are, then just get both. Like, just get both. There's no reason to not get this. I don't think you necessarily have to play with all the expansion stuff right away, but you're going to really want to. And, it adds a 2-player experience, and it adds all this other cool tracks that you can just use. And so that by itself even is really cool. If it was just like maybe drivers and the new tracks and some of these new ability cards, it would be what you would expect out of an expansion. But because they went in and added the campaign and all that stuff and the sponsorship and just the whole management of your car over the course of the season, that's awesome. I mean, this is easily now, I think, my favorite. This is easily my favorite racing game. That's such a hard time saying that sometimes, but this is definitely the best racing game that I've played in terms of pure, like, you're racing your guy and all that kind of stuff. Definitely take a look at this. I highly recommend this, and of course the base game. Thanks.